And you're good to go, Alan.
All right, thank you. So welcome to this September 9th, Tuesday, 2025, Six-Town Regional Planning Board meeting. It is being held remotely. If there are issues that we have with the connectivity of it, we will try to resolve them. We'll make every effort. If we're unable to, we'll have to reschedule the meeting. I see that we have a quorum of the planning board. We have Greg Snedekert, myself, Alan Genovese, David Young, Deborah Bell Up, Deb Loomer, Karen O'Neill, Raina, thank you. And we also have with us Jake Eberwein, who did the slide deck presentation, been working on that. We have Mike Jackson from the Montague, right?
I think you missed Deb Hote, if I'm.
Where is she? Oh, Deb. Everyone's across my screen. And Deb Pote, yeah, she helps makes a quorum. All right, so I have all meetings. So I declare we have a quorum to hold this meeting. Mike Jackson, he is from the Montague
reporter.
Thank you. And then we have, where did I see that? Why is my screen?
Aaron Lee Hoffman is from the recorder.
Is she still here? Oh, there she is.
Oh, yeah, she's here.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to try to move this meeting along as quickly as we can and yet cover the important points. So the first thing is,
Hey, Alan, did I see Mark Abrams was coming in, or Matt?
they might be coming in. I didn't see him yet, but
Okay.
Matt, you sent him an invitation, correct?
Yeah, the name, I think one of the names flashed up on the screen, and then I don't know what happened. I hope I didn't decline them. I thought I accepted. So.
Check that out. Yeah, as I'm looking at this, for some reason, my little boxes are moving around. So I go to look at one place and someone is in a different one. So I don't know, my computer is just wonky a little bit at the moment. So let's handle the things that we can at the moment and move down to the Jake Eberwein, who is with us. He has put in many, many hours in the presentation. He's received feedback, was very responsible to it. And he has done everything on the slide deck that we had asked him to. He made it a little more professional and provided some clarity and worked on text that he asked Greg and I to, kind of review to make sure it fit the slides. So with all that said, I guess, Greg, you were able to send it out, but later than what you wanted to.
Much later than I anticipated. I mean, I didn't get it out till today and at the last minute, so I apologize for that. But I can share the screen. We only have a few new slides from last week, so why don't I do that?
Yeah, and while you're doing that, let me just lay out the plan. So tonight we move forward, approve the slides, move forward. We have our first presentation next week in Gill. What Jake is planning to do is listen to any feedback. He's held off on the voiceover. So after tonight, he will be having someone actually put the voice with the slides. This will be available on our website and probably connected to a YouTube link. So people can click on this. They will not see the narrative, but they will see the slides and there will be a voiceover explaining each slide. The people can click on it as they go, stop, and whatever they want to do with it. In the presentation that we're doing with the towns, it's going to be more tailored to the slide presentation. The narrative won't be there, but we will, the presenters will have the narrative, and then we will move that as forward through the individual towns as tailored to the town. So if they have more questions on one slide, or if they get the enrollment piece, we'll just move through those slides and get to the next piece. So with that said, Greg, you want to talk about
Yeah, Jake, if you can unmute yourself. We start around with the new slides. It's somewhere in the 50s here. I forget exactly which slide.
50 to 55.
Yeah, so I'll start with there. And so this is 50.
Yeah, so it's good to see everybody again. Yeah, we've done a lot of noodling throughout the slide deck, a little bit of reordering. on some of the slides based on feedback from Alan and Greg and Dorinda. Appreciate that. New slides. Actually, this slide was in the last deck, and people did like this summary slide. But it's really the next couple slides, starting on slide number 50.
Yeah, I
Go
think this is
forward a
50, back
couple.
to 50, 51, looking ahead. Is that where? Good.
Yeah, okay, so,
I can go back.
go down further. Sorry.
Yeah, it starts at 50.
Okay, this is 50.
Yeah, that's 50 on your screen, but keep going down to the slide 50.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, 47. There it is. Okay.
There we go. All right. So,
There we go.
so one of the things that we were talking about was the fact that people will want to know what they're voting on. They're voting on elements of the regional agreement. So Alan, with Greg's support, put together sort of a very short checklist of things that would be key items that are covered in the regional agreement. In order to sort of organize those so they're not completely overwhelming, we put those on 3 slides. The first slide is kind of the basics: district name, school committee composition, how you cover vacancies. Next slide, Greg,
Yep.
is on things like where kids go to, how you accept kids, how you do school closures, and the location of schools. Again, most of this would have been spelled out in the presentation because you talk about your reorganization of the secondary schools and your maintenance of the existing elementary schools. And then the last slide is on the mostly on money, although there is a little bit there on amendments and the transition process. So really, really quickly hit, how you do the budget, how you assess to the towns, how you manage debt, which is borrowing for capital projects. So based on that and some new modeling some updated modeling from the Abrahams group, Greg put together a couple slides that are the next 3. So building off of that budget, I would expect that people want to know, how does that impact our bottom line at the town level, and maybe for me as a property owner. So there are 3 basic overview slides here. One is sort of referring to the Abrahams work and the use of the 5-year rolling foundation enrollment average. The next slide is kind of a snapshot of how those assessments are calculated. It's a little bit, people will have the slide deck and be able to sort of magnify it. So this is a screenshot of one of the worksheets.
Right.
And then the next slide is really kind of your punchline, which is basically showing how your assessments would be changing in effect based on where they stand currently and how they would change under the merged assessment system. So all in all, compared to the last slide deck you did, the most significant changes are these 6 additional slides. I did a voiceover myself, and the slide deck without these 6 was running about 28 minutes. We're in the process of doing a voiceover with a better voice than mine. And so I'm guessing with the 6 slides, you're probably going to be running into 35 or 36 minutes for total show. But as Alan pointed out, that's for a recorded version that will be on the live site that people can, like they would with any video, stop, pause, advance, fast forward, whatever they want to do. You'll then use this foundation deck to sort of then go and present live, which means you all will control the pacing. You won't be using the voiceover in a live session. And in some cases, depending on what the town allows you, I know that in Mohawk Trail and in South County, we had some towns that said, you got 20 minutes. And so we had to sort of curate a shorter deck. And now that you all have it, Greg has it, you can kind of cherry pick based on what the needs of each of your presentation or your towns are. So I think you're in pretty good shape. You got a good foundation here.
Yeah, I just want to comment that to magnify the significance of the conversation with Rob O'Donnell and confirmed by Mark Abrams, which is when they calculated these assessments 3 years ago or 2 years ago, they were not using the base aid. They were using different information. In the district, we were actually going to lose a couple of $1 million, and we looked at how that assessment would play out. I think, and we were having conversations with them that it's a brand new district. You can't be doing this whole harmless and so forth. You really need to do base aid. And we didn't get too far with that, except until recently. And then when Mark confirmed it, he was able to run these numbers. So what that meant is they have changed their the way they will handle a new district, and they will actually use the base aid of the Warwick district, the Gil-Montague district, and the Montague school district, and they will put all that aid together as the starting point for a new district. That is huge. And it had a obviously it had an impact on the assessment. So I could have I couldn't be more delighted that they realized that that would be the best way to support a new 6-town regional district. So it gets buried in this, but we'll have to make sure that we do accentuate the difference and the support that the state is giving in doing that interpretation now.
Dorinda has her hand up.
Yep. One question for each of you. Jake, it's looking awesome. On the slide before this, if you zoom in on the PDF version, it's blurry. Is it not blurry on the real version?
That might be me because of a screenshot. I can see if I can.
Well, like on my computer, I have it downloaded.
Oh, you do?
It's blurry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might just need to be like, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah,
captured it a different way.
No, those are really good points, because sometimes when you take screenshots, they don't necessarily translate with a level of sharpness. So Greg, this is actually a screenshot that you picked up.
That's right. Yeah, it's my fault.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying this.
Oh no, but it is. I can't remember. There's a way to do it without, to be embedded without taking a screenshot. I think I may have just been in a hurry because I kind of forgot, and then it's coming up now, so we can correct that. I just have to, Jake, maybe you remember, or maybe you know how to do that.
Well, we can resolve that.
Yeah.
So Dorinda, thank you for bringing it up. You said there's a second question.
It drives me crazy to have the blurriness too. So
yeah. Dorinda, your second question.
The second question is this refers to looking at the Abraham's report in this document, and then so will we have a new version with the new assessments, or like a new mini report or something to add?
You should have received a narrative that he has that accompanies the report that either he sent out or we will share, because I believe that was sent out, and I printed the narrative that he had with it.
Okay, yeah, then should I just upload that to the website?
That would be great. Yeah.
And then also, does this assume just like general costs? Is this still assuming certain staff member cuts that were from before, that were the assumptions from before?
I
think Matt can go over that. He's going to be here to go over.
No, it's here now.
Yeah.
Matt, do we mind if we transition into you, since we're going over the slide deck, and within that is your information. So this is a nice transition to maybe blend that.
Well, why don't we can I just suggest that if Jake has anything left on that, if he wants to go over anything, or if we're ready to move on. Jake?
No, there's really not much else. I mean, I appreciate the feedback. I did get some feedback from a few folks. The only other structural change we made in the presentation is that the feeling was that when we go through those sort of two big buckets, the money factors and then the cohort factors, which are really the focus on educational opportunities and experience and services for kids, we let off with money and then went to cohort, and I think the feeling was we flipped those. So we did that, and I think it's got a better flow now. But I guess the last thing I just want to impress upon everyone is that a product like this is never completely done, so don't be shy about, we can make little changes to it over time, and you may use it and want to do some adjustments. So I just want to make sure you all know it's not a static product. It's something you can continue to, manipulate and adjust.
Yeah, I think it's great, Jake. And just one question is that if I reach out to you, I'm going to look over these much more carefully between now and next Monday for the first presentation. And I would love any advice you want to give. I know you've given some of these presentations. I've watched you give presentations. So, just to connect with you briefly to kind of go over any questions and any advice you might want to give me.
Karen, you look like you have something you would like to say.
I want to go back to what you said about the recalculation of the assessments.
Mhm.
I thought I heard you say they used the base amounts from Gill, Montague, and then you said and Gill, but I never heard anything about the other three towns.
No, so I was talking about so this is the base aid for the Gil Montague Regional School District, the
Mhm.
Pioneer Regional School District, and the Warwick School District. And they combined that base aid for the new district and what there would be their calculations. And so
Okay.
when Matt and Abrahams, who then contacted DESI to verify, then they use that information in generating these assessments. And it's very helpful. It lowers assessments.
Okay. I mean, I understand the concept. I just didn't hear any mention of anybody except Gil Montague in the base calculations.
I apologize.
Thank you.
So Jake is going to move on and do a voiceover. And so I kind of promised him, I'll have the planning board vote. We all understand we can make adjustments to it to accept the slide presentation so that we're not asking him to do another voiceover as soon as he starts on that tomorrow. So I would entertain a motion from someone to accept the slide deck as amended.
So
Yep.
move.
Second.
So who made the Okay, so who
Greg
made the
made the
Greg made
motion,
it.
Dorinda second.
All right, thank you. And I can't see folks, so with that on the screen, we have to do a roll call vote. Alan Genovese, yes. Greg
Yes.
and David,
Yes.
Dorinda,
Yes.
Deb Loomer.
She
She said, yeah. Karen, I see a
Yes.
thumbs up. And Deb Pote
Yes.
and Raina.
Yes.
And who'd I miss? I probably missed somebody. Did I miss someone? Okay, I guess not. All right, terrific. So thank you, Jake, and you've got your marching orders now. And just before you go, once Jake has this, he's going to then do a shorter version so if people want to go on and just see what it's about, there'll be probably less than half the slides that just make the main points. Am I right on that, Jake?
Yeah, we're gonna do
Yeah.
a short version, and again, you guys may also be modifying on your end too, based on your audience.
Yeah.
Hey, the other thing, Alan, I forgot to mention, it's not to belabor this
Sure.
any longer, but is that we also wanted to have feedback mechanisms. So
Oh, good.
the asynchronous online version will direct people to the website to sort of drop their comments or questions, which then you'll collect. The in-person, which you're doing live, I suspect you'll probably want some mechanism for getting either hand raising or putting questions on 3x5 cards or whatever. So just a couple of things to think about that we want to make sure we built into the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for that. So that was going to transition over to Dorinda, in that maybe during the meetings, we have people write their questions if they're more comfortable with that, or we'll capture them when they raise their hand. And then we take those along with people that are able to drop off their questions or comments. And then those we'll just have to be looking at it every day and updating I don't know if we're going to call it a frequently asked questions and answers, but looking at every day so that we can update that. So that will happen online as people review it, or during the presentations, and then we'll capture it and then feed that in. Does that make sense, Dorinda?
Yep, that makes sense. So I think just, I'm gonna create a Google Doc that we can fill in with the questions that we've received and answers that we can point people to if they're not already on the website.
Okay, all right, thank you. And thanks again, Jake. All right,
Thank you. We'll see y'all.
and so transition over. Matt, thank you for joining us, much appreciated. I don't know if Greg is going to have you, give you the permission to host and pull things up, or Greg, are you going to do
I
it?
have what he sent me, so I can call it up if that's okay with that, or I can shift the host if it's easier.
What would you
Whatever.
like to do, Matt? It's your segment now.
Well, I was thinking I'd start with the file from 2 years back, so it
Do
might
you
be
want to take
All right,
control then?
yeah, I'll share it. I'll share it with you.
just
Yeah.
to kind of talk about where we were and why we're talking again here today.
Yeah, you're good.
And I think by showing multiple files, that's probably the most effective way to capture that. So,
Yep.
okay, good evening, everyone. This is Matt Abrahams from the Abrahams Group, and apologize for being a few minutes late. I was having computer issues connecting. So backtracking just a little bit, try not to look at the screen, even though I think it's still loading. Go back 2 years or so, we compiled numbers for this group and reviewed this exact file, which I'll walk you through real quick on the screen back 2 years ago. Our charge was to run some assessment numbers for a combined 6-town region. We were actually, if we go back 2 years ago, we actually ran it for a 5-town and a 6-town region. The 5-town would not have included Warwick. So we ran both back then. But in the end, we were focusing on a 6-town region 2 years ago. And as you know, we're focusing on the same now. Our charge was to basically merge the budgets. The approach we took was to take the existing budgets at the time, which were the latest ones were FY24 when we did this 2 years ago, merge them together, then do some budgetary adjustments based off of some, we'll call it efficiencies or changes that might take place in a merged district. That included 3 things right off the top. That included changes to teacher salaries because teachers for the districts weren't on the same salary scale. What would it look like if they're on the same salary scale? That analysis was done that added additional costs to the existing budgets. The second one which was similar, was health insurance. Do an analysis on what people were paying for health insurance. What would they pay if they were all part of the same, not the same plan, but the same group of plans that one district offered, and add those additional costs in. So just like how there would be additional costs for teachers, we identify what we believe to be additional costs for health insurance, and we added that in. Again, that was above and beyond what the budgets said at the time. Then on the flip side was, okay, well, what about some efficiencies that can be gained by the merging of the districts? We focused on central office. Presumably the staffing of the central office would look a little bit different. Instead of having 2 central offices, there'd be 1. What does that look like? We relied on the business manager from Gil Montague to help us there. We basically relied on her to design what a new central office would look like, assign some salaries to that, and then we did a difference between the budgets and that to identify some savings. So though it was the budgets merged together plus those 3 adjustments. The 3 adjustments being the teacher salaries, the health insurance, and the savings identified from a merged central office. Okay. So that produced what we'll call a budget for the new district, what one presumably would look like once the 6-town district was operating. And then we took the next step, which was try to calculate what the assessments would be for each of the 6 towns using the assessment methodology that is used today. I mean, it's not each of the districts does it differently, but the same concept. Okay, you start with the budget, you back out common revenues, and then you're left with an amount to be assessed. And then we did calculations related to that amount to be assessed, and ultimately was asked to produce at the time 10 different looks at what the assessments could be based off of 10 different assessment methodologies. They are listed up here. This list right here that I'm highlighting. I'll make this a little bit larger. I'm guessing it's probably small for people. So one of them was run Gil Montague's operating assessment methodology. That's based off of, I believe, a one-year look at resident enrollment or head count in the schools. Run Pioneer Valleys, which is the 5-year rolling average of resident enrollment, I believe. 1-year foundation enrollment, 5-year foundation enrollment average, 1-year required district contribution, 5-year average of required district contribution. But you'll notice that these four and these four are the same, just that one was the alternative methodology, one's the statutory methodology. Towards the conclusion of our work 2 years ago, this group decided that we weren't focused on the alternatives anymore. So then we ended up with the 6 statutory methodologies that you see now on the screen. We reviewed the file that we're looking at right now. 2 years, 2 years ago, and then again in November of last year. You may recall that Mars was involved in some conversations related to the potential merger, and we represented this file to the group as part of that work. So you've presumably seen this file multiple times. And you may remember this sheet that is, and I walked you through this at some point, shows how the assessments are calculated going downward over here. And Jake showed this on one of his slides as well, even though it was really compressed. You start with the budget, like I said. You back out common revenues, in this case, Chapter 78, and also this one right here, which we're calling other income. There's the required district contributions. The amount above is what is then assessed or allocated using some metric. Okay, I just talked about 1-year resident enrollment, 5-year resident enrollment, 1-year foundation, etc. That's how those costs are divvied up using those different metrics. And in the end, down here, we produce total assessments using that metric. Okay, I don't feel the need to probably walk you through this in too much detail, just trying to cover it at a high level, even though I know I've been talking for a little bit already. So these sheets I walked you through 2 years ago.
Could I interrupt you? Please rework Warwick's, because you've omitted the fact that we get like close to $400,000 in Chapter 70 money. That's the number being used here for Warwick's current assessment is our school committee budget, not net of state aid. And Warwick is, I think, unique among all these communities in that we are in actual foundation aid and would not be taking the hold harmless. So they calculated our income, and we're back into foundation aid. We add a kid, we get a full foundation aid for that kid instead of $30 like the hold harmless towns. So there's no significant savings, cost savings, but it's reflected here as there is some.
Yeah, that's a good point. We chose to take the approach that we were showing the cost of education or the expense side, but your point is a good one, because it doesn't currently show the impact of Chapter 70 in the current environment for Warwick.
And the fact that if we add a kid in our school district, we get $6,800, whatever it is, not the hold harmless $30.
Yep. So this is how we showed it 2 years ago. So we took the same approach, but your point is a good one, because this does not factor in Chapter 70 aid for Warwick. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward with when we're looking at these numbers. Okay, and we can repeat that as we move along. All right, I don't feel
You wouldn't change the model?
We could if that's the wish of the
Well,
group.
I mean, this is gonna stink the place up in Warwick. What, I told Alan that I would be entirely fair in all this, and I think pointing this out rather than sandbagging it to come out later after all those cost savings are touted. The model should reflect the assessment, which to Warwick is what my taxpayers pay. It's not what the school committee budget is voted without reflecting the Chapter 70 money.
It
Okay.
sounds like Warwick might need a tailored presentation, but I mean, if we have this document, it can be edited to include that information.
So when you're using the base aid, and that's going to actually have a higher amount come into than we had before, I think, but we'd have to take a look at that and then see how that impacts assessments.
So just so everyone's aware, the numbers that are in this table do reflect all the Chapter 78 for all 3 districts, or it's really a community in this case, but they're all in this table. But David's point's a good one in that if we're looking here, these 5 are the assessments that the towns receive as for being part of the districts that they're currently a part of. So that does have Chapter 78 baked into the calculation. I mean, it's kind of it's in there
At the district level.
at the district level, right? It's in there, and eventually, you get what the town's cost to educate the students in that district are. That's what we're looking at here. But the Chapter 78 is part of that, and it's taken off the top before you start calculating the assessments. Warwick is kind of its own little animal, I guess, so to speak, in that it's operating its own budget, its own school. It has its own Chapter 78. There is no quote unquote assessment for Warwick, because that assessment would only be in place if you're doing if you're part of a regional school district, which Warwick currently is not a part of. So the approach we took was to include what the expenses are to that town. But the point is a good one in that this number does not include Chapter 70, or does not show it as an offset, I guess is probably a better way to say it.
Right.
Whereas technically Chapter 78 is being used in these numbers. So there's a little bit of like not apples to apples.
So can you make that adjustment, Matt? Because you have this in a tool to offset that with their Chapter
Well,
70.
at least in the slide deck, fix it is what I will argue.
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah, either we could take either approach. But keep in mind the numbers we're looking at here, this is the file from 2 years ago. So we didn't have it in there 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
we then carried it forward this year, not having it in there. But it is in our, I think in our write-up, we might have, we made clear that we were focused just on expenses at the Warwick level.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, we could, I don't have the FY24 number right here for Chapter
Well,
78, but
what the Warwick taxpayers pay for in property tax toward the school department, which is a K through 12 district, but what they pay toward it is actually about $15,000 more than this. What I saw on the slide deck was predicting for Warwick's assessment. There is no $156,000 savings in making this change to Warwick. There's less than $10,000 because of net Chapter 70.
yeah. Okay. Yep. This number was meant to be a difference in expenses, but you're right. It is it's not clear.
Well,
that-
I mean,
yeah.
we have expenses, but if we don't, if the state meets it with $400,000 of Chapter 70 money, I don't think I should need to go on this point. It's just, let's compare apples with apples, at least going forward.
Okay.
David, I mean, because it sounds like Jake's recording like tomorrow. Would it like satisfy to have a narrative about that just like this doesn't
No,
This
page
reflects
57 in the
expenses for-
slide deck has got to get fixed. Because there ain't $156,000 of savings to Warwick. The taxpayers will not see $1.50 come off the tax rate because we do this. They won't see any change. What they will see, I think, is a district that isn't going to be, that's going to be in basic hold harmless going forward.
Well, wait a minute. This is from 2 years ago, though.
Yeah, but to Matt's point, they used this model when as they went forward
Yeah.
and to the next one. So, so I would think, Matt, that if you take that number, David, the budget itself was what, like 1.1 million or something? The actual, when you're referring to what's on the
Well,
tax
total
bill?
education was 1.5 million.
Yeah.
1.18 was the
General
district
fund.
budget before chapter 70. And the less chapter 70 is $876,000 on education.
Okay. So Matt, you should be able to, well, I'm thinking you could make that adjustment and it would ripple through, correct?
Well, he
Yeah,
made
I
a
don't-
point about the ripple effect. I don't know.
I don't have the 24 number, so we're looking at the 24 file.
Well, let's
right
go,
now.
yeah, so let's see if because this was meant to show a comparison. So without the comparison, where is it on the current? At the bottom?
I'm gonna bring up the other file now. I was still just trying to set the stage for transitioning from here to the other file. So I'll just finish
Okay.
doing that real quick. Okay, hang on.
And thank you, David.
All right, so then this summary tab essentially is a quick comparative table for each of the 6 methodologies that we were focused on at the end of the work that we did 2 years ago. You can see all the towns going across the top. There's a current line that represents either the current assessments or the current expenses, general fund expenses at the time for Warwick. And then the projected, which would be what the calculated assessments would be for the 6 towns if they're part of a 6-town region using the methodology that is right above. So you'll see that number 7 was a 1-year look at foundation enrollment. Number 8 was a 5-year rolling average of foundation enrollment. Number 9 was a 1-year look at required district contribution being the metric used. Number 10 was a 5-year average of required district contribution. The group at the time 2 years ago was most interested in number 8 because I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but my understanding is it was the least impactful to all the towns when you look at it holistically. So that was the focus at the time. And fast forward to now, or the last few months, being brought back in to run additional numbers, the thinking was, okay, we want to see that if we update this analysis using the most current data, which is FY26 data, would it tell a similar story? So we were asked to update the analysis using the latest data, which is what we've done. And I will transition to that other file now.
Oh, let the record show that Michelle has joined us. Now that I can see people. Diana Noble has joined us. She's on the both the finance committee and the school committee. I think she might be chair of both. I don't remember. School committee, yes. Finance, I'm not sure. And anyone else join us since we have people back? No.
Hey, Matt, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
With the assessments you ran 2 years ago, though, that was under the assumption that that DESI was not going to honor base aid, or basically some sort of hold harmless in a way of maintaining the 3 districts in terms of where they were. So you ran it with an alternate assumption, right?
No, we ran it the same way 2
You
years
did.
ago. Yeah.
Okay.
We basically, for a 6-town region, we just took the 3 chapter 78 numbers and added them together.
Oh,
2 years ago and for this latest run.
Okay.
Well, I had a moment there. I was just going to grab the chapter 78 from FY24. Okay. So I have that now. I can put it in there. Share the file first. Okay. So I'm going to hide this just for a second, not to confuse people. So now we're looking at a summary tab that is the same layout, but this is what was produced when we did this most recent analysis over the last few months using FY26 data. Same exact calculations, same methodology to produce these numbers that we did 2 years ago is basically just updating the numbers. In essence, updating the budget, updating the revenues, recalculating everything, produce the tables that we're looking at here. And as David pointed out, it's the same situation where we're just showing Warwick's costs rather than the costs offset by chapter 78. But we can make that adjustment if that's the wish of the group. We can do that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I can do that right now. So this under the yellow header is the 26 data. And at some point we thought it was prudent to do a side by side. So we put into this tab on the right-hand side the numbers that we were just looking at in the other file, just so you could kind of see, okay, this area over here is what the numbers were saying 2 years ago. Then we can compare them easily to the numbers over here, which is what was calculated very recently using FY26 data. So I'll just finish with my opening comments and then I can make that adjustment. So the focus 2 years ago was on number 8. And if you look at this table right here, these numbers should look familiar from what I just showed you. This is the snapshot that the group considered most favorable when we did this 2 years ago. So then if you fast forward that to what it looks like with the latest numbers, it continues to show a similar picture, in that the 5-year rolling average of foundation enrollment holistically is the least impactful to all the towns compared to the others. So what I want you to focus on when you see that is what these percentages down at the bottom are saying. Because when you go up above, you see some percentages that are a little bit higher for some of these other towns with some of these other metrics that we could be using for this methodology.
Yeah, Matt, I would just interject here that to me, what is meaningful about this is, I mean, I hear David's point, but really what's important about this is seeing that the 5-year rolling average smooths out the percentage changes so that towns are not stuck with wide fluctuations in their budgets. And that's really what the point of this is. I mean, we all knew going in that it's not going to necessarily save the towns much in terms of money and in terms of cost, but the benefits are going to be significant. And what we're looking for is something that smooths out the fluctuations so that towns can budget more carefully and not, get subject to wide swings in percentage because of enrollment swings, right?
I think that's a good idea, but do recognize that the flip side of that coin is that you're paying a higher assessment than you would have with things being more jagged following, say, the 1-year foundation enrollment. So you do, while you would see an increase somewhere, the bill gets paid. So somebody's not seeing a savings. I think budgetarily it makes sense, but I don't think it's just all good necessarily.
Well, I think,
If
go
my
ahead.
community is experiencing, rapid declines in student numbers, I would not see that, that my costs are going down as fast as my student population.
So I have two takeaways from this. The first takeaway is that using the 5-year average that we have in the regional agreement based on the foundation budget, this kind of validates, in my opinion, that was the right language to use in the regional agreement. When I look at this slide, Matt, I'm wondering, since it would be less amount, and I'm focused on Warwick now, I'm on their school committee as well, and on the Board of Selectmen. When I look at Warwick, if you back out the Chapter 70 money, and obviously it's going to show Warwick is that savings number or assessment number is not it's going to change dramatically. But in terms of the overall assessment, since it's a lower amount, what would your I don't know if that would change those bottom lines a lot. So can you comment on that?
Comment on what specifically?
On the percentages across the bottom. When you make that adjustment,
Yeah.
what do you see it doing to those percentages that we're looking at in the other towns?
It won't touch the other towns. It would just be an adjustment to Warwick.
Correct. Okay.
I can make that change right now. So
Yeah.
essentially what I think, and David, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're saying is this 1.185 million does not represent the impact to tax. You said taxpayers earlier, because this is just costs. It's not offset by Chapter 70.
Chapter 70. Mm-hmm.
So if we take out the chapters, if we offset this number by Chapter 78, does that get to the point that you're looking for?
Exactly, yes.
You're not thinking about offsetting with other things too, just the Chapter 78?
This is the picture this paints of great savings for us doing this, which is wrong. I want that corrected. I really haven't thought about how it cascades through the model.
Right.
It
No,
would-
that's not my
It would
question.
change the total number far to the right.
That's
Right?
true.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So it wouldn't show as much overall savings for the district as a whole.
Yeah.
Karen,
Right,
did you
well-
teach math?
Yes, I did.
It shows.
She was an English teacher.
No, a science teacher, but I started off in math because I didn't have a math teacher.
Mm. All right, I'll give him a second. Let's see what this looks like. And
So
I'll
I
give
have Go
But
ahead.
after all this, let's remember, we didn't get in this for cost savings. I just don't want anybody seizing.
Right.
No,
right.
and I
Cost
really
savings.
thank you, David.
I have the Chapter 70 FY 26 number is 392,000-ish. So I just threw that in there, and I can throw the FY 24 number in here too.
So while he's doing this, Greg, you can take this because this is gonna and do whatever the snapshot is. I'll give Jake a call because he's not doing that voiceover until tomorrow.
I can send them this latest file too. If that's
Oh, okay, thank you.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's not in there at this point anyway, with the most recent.
Mm.
We can add it if we need to. Yep.
Well, what if that basic slide that we have, if that's in there,
Right. Oh yeah.
yeah, we got to absolutely correct that because it shows, I think it was like a $313,000 savings, and that is not the case because of Chapter 70 not deducted.
All right. So it's in there.
And so, what does it show? Because I can't read it. Does it say 10?
Yeah. So if you look at Warwick now, it's a 10% increase,
Okay.
about $79,000 for that one particular table, that one methodology, which is the 5-year rolling average of foundation enrollment.
Mhm.
The other metrics show a little differently. A 1 year is a 5.7% increase. The options 1 and 2 are between 9.7 and 10.8%,
Yeah.
and you're over 15 for the ones at the bottom.
Okay.
So David, you and I can talk later about the tax rate implications, comparisons. All right.
Again, the money is not our main argument. The argument is trying to do
Yeah.
more at the junior and senior high school level and survive the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this change doesn't really bother me because to me, the whole idea with the assessments was to find a methodology that would smooth over the changes for 6 towns as opposed to, 3 or 2 in the case that we have currently. And so to me, finding, number 8 still makes sense to me no matter how these numbers play out. So.
I agree, and I don't look at this in terms of how does this impact my town? I like to see some good public policy. So that, the 5-year averaging, that to me, that makes for good public policy, even though there might be some short-term gains foregone for having the 1 year. And my biggest terror with the Warwick tiny town school district is success. And if everybody starts to buy a house here and send their kid here.
Well, the other thing to think about too is, and my assumption is when we discuss this with Desi, is that when we form a new region, if we form a new region, then that becomes the base year. So they may, in quotes, hold us harmless in terms of making the transition, but we're not going to be in hold harmless back from calculating, an aggregate enrollment figure. It's going to be starting new.
Well, did they do so the 2 Robs for Warwick did the calculation. They didn't, I always thought they'd extrapolate from our, Pioneer and give us a proportionate share of our 8.6%. But they recalculated and found that we were as deserving of local aid and we're on the we add a child to our 60-member district, we get aid.
Yeah, because you started with,
What's going to happen with the new district? Is it going to be in that position?
yeah, it
The
should
growth,
be.
I mean, that's a reason alone for the district to combine, because if Pioneer adds 100 kids, they aren't going to get but 100 times $30.
That's my point. Yeah, is that when they combine and you've got a new region, it basically resets the base year.
Damn, everybody should do this.
It's a strong reason to regionalize.
It's like changing workers' comp carriers.
That's right. It's like starting over. I mean, and depending on where your region started back in 92 or whenever they started this, they saw it as a real boon as long as it increased in enrollment, topped out in 96, and then it's been kind of crap ever since. So.
Yeah, and just not to belabor this, but just so you know, in the long range plan, I had in there for the state to, have legislation to support the transitional superintendent, business administrator, special ed, and then also put in a piece that there would be I think it was $75 per student first year, 50 to second, and 30 to and 25 to third, because there needs to be support that in this new venture. And one district tried it, it didn't. This would be, not to use a familiar word, but we would be pioneers in blazing a trail for other communities to either come in or to follow this model. So we shall see. So Matt, so our let me think. So I was going to have the board accept your report. Does this change? How much does this change? It does change the narrative a bit. So you could just amend the narrative here to the correction that you just made regarding Warwick. So it's pure. So we're comparing apples to apples, and all towns were treated exactly this, the same way. That's really important. So if you could make that adjustment in your report, then I think that I could ask people, because I want to move on, to accept it as amended.
Yeah, I can do that.
Does anyone, any other questions for Matt and Mark? Well, Mark's not here, but for Matt. You did a lot of work on this, and I love the fact that you have a tool to be able to, in real time, fix this. So you send it on, please, and if you feel so, you could give Jake a call, let him know what we're doing. I'll follow that up if this meeting doesn't get over too late. Does anyone want, so how do people feel? Can we accept the,
Dorinda has a question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
can you
realized
take
I
this
didn't-
away so I can see people?
Yeah, I realized I didn't have my question from earlier answered, or if I missed it, sorry. Just does this include any assumptions like the other presentation did, or no? Because it's just actual previous costs.
When you say the other presentation, are you referring to 2 years ago? I'm sorry.
Right, like
Yeah.
the the central district savings. It
Yeah,
doesn't assume any of that, right?
No, it does. It's the same exact setup as last time, with just with
Okay.
updated numbers. So instead of
Got it.
using the
Okay.
numbers from 2 years ago, everything's the same. It's just using numbers from this year, FY26.
Okay.
But there's still calculations related to the increased cost for teacher salaries, still
Okay.
calculations
Great.
related to increased costs for the health insurance changes, and still calculations related to savings identified for the central office. It's just using FY26 numbers rather than 24 numbers.
Great, thank you. Then a motion to approve.
Alan, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Kind of, I probably not in the right place, but I'm just curious. All of this is subject to a negotiation with the new teachers union.
Correct.
I mean, what you set out here still needs to be negotiated with their union, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just, you make an assumption and, this might be the salary. I'm just, this is the health insurance. These are all assumptions. They're not, I just wanted to make sure of that.
Yeah. So the process is, Deb, that, so I'm going to second the motion. And now we're having a discussion. So the
Sorry.
process is that there's a transition school committee that does the things that you're talking about. And that in the long range plan, I'm asking for money for legal fees for that to happen, for money for those salary adjustments, insurance and so forth. So that, Daisy's going to have some skin in the game as well as the legislators. So, so that happens if it passes in all the towns, we move to the implementation phase, and the towns cannot, be affording that additional money. The state will have to, through its legislation and our legislators, provide that. So we have a motion and a second to.
So I just want to, so the assessments that you have there, what you're saying is, and I'm playing the devil's advocate from the teacher. So the teachers union say, no, this is not an acceptable salary. It needs to be this. We'll say it passes, and you agree, but it's higher than the assessments that you have in this table. You're saying DESE would have to pick up the difference?
No, I'm saying that there will need to be additional funding to support this new district, and that this piece is subject to negotiations with the unions. So we only can make assumptions on what we know and looking forward. The other things, will occur through the negotiation process. One thing that I think we're very fortunate on is that we have an attorney that has familiarity with all three districts, and he's negotiated with all three districts. So we're not like starting over in terms of negotiation. Everybody knows each other. It's just consolidating and then sitting at the table. So I don't know what that will produce. None of us do. So we know that they'll have to be negotiated and there are legal fees to accommodate that. Raina, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just had a question about, so the funds for the transition, is that guaranteed from DESI, or is that something that we have to ask for and, make, that they provide those funds to help us with that transition?
Right. So that will be in that's in the long range plan. And that's something that, that our legislators will have to champion for us.
Okay. Okay.
With, I would think, with DESI's support. If they're, if they're behind this, then we should all be on the same page and trying to make this to happen.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Are we ready to vote? Move to the next thing. All right. I'm not hearing it. David, you're on my left side now. You keep moving all over the screen. Stay in the chair. I'll start with David.
David, yes.
Alan, Genevieve, yes. Dorinda,
Yes.
Deborah, you're over there now.
Yes.
And Karen,
Yes.
Michelle, welcome. There you are.
Yes.
Greg
Yes.
and Raina
Yes.
and Deb Pote.
Yes.
And who's down the bottom right? Is that Steve?
No.
Who is SRHEM? Oh, somebody that's participating. Oh, that's Mike.
Mike Jackson.
And then we just
Steve,
had
it's Steve
Steve join us.
Hammond. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All
I'm
right.
late.
Okay, well, we're be ready for you in a second. So you're not late on that part. All right, so did I get everybody for the vote? Okay, so that finishes that up. Matt, you're gonna send that along and I'll probably give you a call as soon as the meeting's over. So I want to make sure that presentation captures that piece. We can follow up. All right, so Matt, thank you. And thank you, Dad, for all the work that he did with you on this.
Okay.
And for following up with, for Desi. I know that he had sent some emails that I wasn't aware of that he informed me, asking them about this point about base aid, and he hadn't
Yeah.
gotten a response. So it was really nice that we actually got a concrete response from them finally.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And now we move over to the regional agreement. So you're here in place of Jay?
Yes, it appears that way. Yeah. Jay's in the middle of moving, so I don't know if he had internet or not.
Okay, am I going to be following up with you tomorrow then instead of Jay? Will that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so I'll give you a call after so we can set a time because there's a few things that we have to make sure are correct before we send it off to Desi, who was looking for this. And I
Mhm.
told him that after this meeting, we would get this to them. So let me think. So at the last meeting, Jay went over a clean copy of the document with all of the changes, and I could have had you vote to accept that and amend that. As a matter of fact, Karen asked that question, should we do that? And I said no. It wasn't that I wasn't ready. I wanted to have one motion as an amendment to the proposed regional agreement, which would include the school closure language, which we have been working on for a long time to try to get that right. And to also protect the interest of our elementary schools as the heart of the community. And we have 4. And so we were trying to craft language that would allow that to continue unless there were some pretty unusual circumstances. So I think the focus of this meeting will be to focus on the school closure language, which everyone, I hope, has. And then when we finish that, if we can agree to this language, then I will be entertaining a motion to accept the the amendments to the proposed agreement. And if I can get that tonight, Steve, your team will be after tomorrow on Thursday. Hopefully everything's going to Desi and we can finish this up with them. Because I explained it that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that pretty much all the feedback you provided to us in the red line version that we went over. And so Desi has pretty much finished that process with the exception of the school closure language. And so this is going to be their focus. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
the closure, they did have some concerns on that, and so we've given you a proposal on it, and you've got to make some decisions.
Yeah. All right. So everyone has, do you want to call that up on the screen, Greg?
Yeah, I'm looking for it because I wasn't expecting to do that, so now I've got to go find it.
Is that what you sent us today, Greg? Process to close a school?
I sent today the slides. I think I sent that with the packet.
Yeah,
So I
right.
can find it in the packet. I just got to go to my email real quick.
Yeah. It was very confusing to me. I didn't know if it was all one proposal or several different ones.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. That's why it was a little confusing.
So that's probably a good lead, Karen, just for me to put some context to this. Because we tried a couple of different things. We tried school closure language that involved using Schedule 3, that the school that was going to be closed would have to come up with the money for that schedule. We eventually did not go with that. We looked at per pupil and looked at how that would work. And we just spent a lot of time on this. So the end result is this. The school closure language has a very comprehensive process in the beginning, and this is all one document that captures all the things that would need to happen for beginning to consider closing a school. So that's the first part should be pretty familiar to you, because I
Yes.
believe it was in the first in our proposed agreement about the study and the composition of the people doing the study and the timeline and the public hearing, and then eventually, making a recommendation to the school committee. And so where it took a little detour is we decided that that's a pretty significant decision. And we also had conversations about, rural schools are different than urban schools and city schools, and that you can close a school there, and the transportation people are close by in their elementary school. They have the ability to do that, and it's not a real big impact. But in our small communities, that's a pretty big impact. So number 4, after all of the feasibility study, it says the committee will then vote to close the school or to keep it open. The vote shall require, and this is where we set a pretty strong bar. It requires a 3/4 vote, at least 10. This is at least 10 of the 13 members of the full committee, with representation from at least 4 towns voting to support closure. And the vote shall be held at a regularly scheduled meeting. Now, there were some back stories to this. One of them was, as you know, the Montague had 6 votes in the district-wide elections, and they graciously gave up that, and they have 5 votes because they didn't want to be controlling the whole district. So we made this 10 because it's really a really super majority. It's a very high threshold. So this is and then on 5, it said only if the committee votes to close the school in question, every member town at their annual or special town meeting to approve or not to approve the committee vote to close the school if in question. If a 2/3 vote of member towns, so that's 4 out of 6, vote for the closure, with a majority vote The school committee will then close on June 30th. So we have a super majority, basically a 3/4 at its committee level and 2/3 at the town level, which is consistent, I believe, with statute. Now we have another piece. And so this is still all part of it. The school committee, if after 2 consecutive years, the elementary school has in-seat enrollment. Now, this would include residents, tuition, school choice is 20 or less students. The committee may initiate a feasibility study with a 2/3 majority vote, a committee vote to close the school in question, and requires a 2/3 majority vote. And then all the member towns will vote on the committee recommendation to close the school, and the towns will close if there is a majority vote to support the committee vote to close in 2/3 of the member towns at an annual or special town meeting. We were thinking that if a school really got that small, 15, whatever, 10, that and the school committee doesn't have to do this, but if it's doing this under the really significant low enrollment, then the bar would be lowered from where it was before.
Mhm.
So we were trying to be fair to all of the towns, and we're trying to recognize how important it is for the elementary schools to remain in their towns and then remain open when at all possible.
Alan, I don't know if you can hear me, but I have a question.
I can hear you really well. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I changed. I'm on a cell phone now because the other one I was losing a lot of stuff.
I hear you better now.
So the question is, and it pertains to all of this that's happening. When you say the town votes, so for instance, in Gill, one person is a vote. In Montague, you have town meeting members. And so I'm curious if when this goes to a town vote, what type of town vote they're going to use, because there could be different outcomes. So in this process that you're talking about, when it says and the town must approve at their town meeting, do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if Leiden is a one-on-one, one person, one vote. I don't know what Northfield is, but I know Montague is different.
Right. And so that's a good point. So in the 5 towns, it's town meeting vote. There's representation vote in Montague, as you point out. And so, Dorinda, I'm going to defer this to you, but my understanding would be that would be, in order for your town to support or not support, it'd be a, let's see.
Town meeting's town meeting.
Well, no, they don't have a town meeting though, David. They have,
Yeah, they
they
do.
have a representative.
That's
So
still
how
a
would that
town
work?
meeting,
Yeah, that's true. Dorinda, how
It's a
would you
town
respond to
meeting.
that?
but it's not a open, it's a representative town meeting. It's still a town meeting.
Well, true.
Athol has one. It's still a town meeting. In that case, you're a town meeting member, and those are the people that'll be deciding it in Montague.
Yeah. Right. But at this point in time, when you talk about, are we going to become a regional school district or not? I'm assuming that Montague, one person, one vote, not town meeting members. I think that's what they're assuming, to be honest with you.
Well, to me, it's town, it's the representation. So they have a town meeting that has representatives that represent the different precincts. And so their vote, just like on any other vote that they do, the budget or whatever, would follow that same process.
I would think that would have to be clarified because once again, not only in this language, but going forward to what's going to happen in November. I mean, you don't have your town meeting members deciding who's going to be the town cemetery, whatever, or the county sheriff. You have one person, one vote. And I think, this just brings to light what is going to happen in Montague.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. But this is not a ballot question. I mean, you could have a secret ballot, I suppose, at a town meeting, but this is not a ballot question. This is a vote at town meeting. Dorinda, how do you think that would work?
Why don't you ask Michelle? At town meetings, we have our elections the next day.
Hello, Walter Ramsey just sent out an email to all the towns that Montague Select Board voted to have the meeting on Saturday. So it's their however they do their town meeting, they have representatives.
Wow.
This is unless they decide to have it as a ballot question. So I think someone should ask the Montague Select Board.
Yeah, I don't
In
think this.
all the other towns, we would have a special town meeting, but it may be that the moderator gives out a ballot that people have to put yes or no. It
That was
all.
gonna be-
it
I'm
all
sorry, I was gonna say, that was the next question that was proposed to me in a small meeting was, is this a secret ballot, or are we just raising hands at our town meeting as usual?
Deb, it can be either. I mean, and you
Right.
can, it can be decided that it's going to be a paper ballot. But even if you do it by hand, that can be challenged by a group of a certain percentage, and it can be then brought to a paper ballot.
Okay,
So-
yeah, but that's
If I could
Gil.
say something, Alan.
No, that's for most, anyone,
Right.
any town that does not have a representational government.
So
Yeah.
let me just clarify. So at a town meeting in the 5 towns, there's the warrant article. It'll be on the floor. The select board are the ones that call the meeting and put the warrant article on. The people will then debate, discuss, deliberate on the warrant article. It'll eventually come to a vote. The vote will either be by hand, or someone could ask for it to be on a paper ballot, and there's paper, pencil, whatever distributed, and people write whether they support it or not, and they're tallied, and then they make the announcement. So that's going to happen in any one of the 5 towns, because this is not like a debt exclusion or anything that Proposition 2 would have or something. Now in the case of Montague, my assumption was that it's the representatives that get together like they would on anything else, and that they would debate it, and then there would be a vote to support the warrant article or not. And however they vote on things will, because they're representing their constituents from each precinct, then whatever the outcome of that vote, it either passes or not.
Alan, if I could come in on a
Yes.
representative town meeting, and I've been a member of representative town meeting,
Please.
also in a town with it. And when they set up the representative town meeting, each town meeting member is representing the same number of people. So you're talking about the one person, one vote. They're representing X number, and they have to sometimes make the changes and move things around to make sure that each member, one person doesn't represent, say, 500 people, another represents 200. They come up with a number that each town representative town meeting is representing. And then the representative town meeting by law then is the governing body that town meetings do. So it is a town meeting. It's by representative, but they're elected at the ballot, usually at election. And then they represent an equal number of people. So again, one person, one vote, that's how that's covered in the representative town meeting.
Okay, no, I understand that whole process. I think I don't know how many, and Dorinda would know how many town meeting members there are in Montague.
She said there was 125.
Okay,
It's close to that. That's not evenly divisible by 6. I can't exactly remember what it is. Maybe Mike
About.
remembers. But 126. Yeah.
okay.
Thanks.
So I was just curious. Once again, I held a small little meeting and people said, am I going to get to vote? And I said, yeah, I don't know. And so once again, in this procedure that you have right here in number 6 and 5, that's why I was curious. And Dorinda, I would just, I don't know how the word gets out in Montague that this is not something you're going to vote on individually. This will be done by town meeting members. And I think that's I think it's such a hot topic, to be honest with you, that I would think that we all know how you can stack a ballot and get all your people who want to vote for, police cars and garbage trucks or whatever. It's not up to me. It's up to the people of Montague. I just want to bring it up because it's not some of their understanding right now.
The other thing I would add is that at Representative Town, when I was Representative Town Meeting, members of the people that I represented contacted me. So you can contact your Representative Town Meeting member and say, hey, I think we would like you to consider this, and please do that. That's how we want you to do. So if enough people contact them, usually they vote what the people they represent, what in their town or their precinct want them to do.
Yep.
So
No.
someone flashed up on the screen. I don't know if it was, I read there were 6 precincts. They do this, every 7 years, and it was times something and I missed it. Whoever that was, who was that did
Mike
that?
Jackson wrote 6 precincts times 3 years times 7 members.
Okay.
So there's 126 town meeting members. And yeah, so anyone in Montague can speak during town meeting, but not everybody can vote. So, and yeah, they can contact their precinct representatives.
Okay.
And also attend public meetings.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. So on hand with this. So we're back to the school closure language. And then, so Karen, this is one section broken into 2 parts. Both require feasibility study. There's a high threshold, and if enrollment is really low, the school committee can look at it again. So we thought that was the fairest way to handle this. And then it gets into language that's just very familiar, and it's been in a lot of regional agreements where you compensate the district for 3 years and you do a % and so forth. So that's the long and the short of.
But the rest of it, if you take the last paragraph.
Yep.
Isn't that in conflict with everything you said before?
At the conclusion of the feasibility study, the school committee will vote on the closure.
On the closure of the school in question.
Right.
It says unanimous vote of the committee.
Vote to close the school will require unanimous vote of the committee. That should not say that.
Yeah. And the school in question.
And that was taken out. It was it was a 2/3 vote.
Well, only if you're referring to number 6.
Correct.
All right. There's also another thing in conflict.
Okay.
The school in question will close if all the member towns vote to approve the committee recommendation.
Yeah, that should have been deleted. That was old language, and I'm not sure why that's even there. That should have been. I went over this with Jay, Steve, and there were some things.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if
I can look at the old one.
There's been so many versions sent out. I just want to make sure we got the right one. So I'm taking a look.
I'm trying to look as well.
No, I have it. I have all.
I mean, this says 9. This is labeled 9/7/25. So that was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And the other, other than that, I have one that's dated September 2nd.
Yeah. So the one that was crossed off, if the school committee votes to close the school, the member towns require 2 options to close the school. So that was removed. And this last one should say.
Or
2/3.
member towns vote to approve it. That's what you said on the other side.
Yeah, let's try. Let me try sharing this. Hold on. This one looks different.
as Greg mentioned, we've had so many versions of this and discussions of what we want in.
Yeah, let me just see.
I
Wait.
think we've just got to clean this up. I think we finally have something that we can bring to Desi and see. Because we had a conversation with Desi earlier about Schedule 3 and the way that we were proceeding, and
But I want to
they
see,
asked a lot of good questions, but we need to amend
This-
this.
and I want to see that,
Let's take a look at this option B here.
whatever it is, before I take a vote.
Yeah, let's see this. Does this look right? Option B, after 2 consecutive years, school in-seat enrollment less than 20. Initiate a feasibility study with a 3/4 majority vote.
Yep, yep,
That's
yep.
right.
Vote is in the question require a 3/4 majority vote. All member towns will vote on the committee recommendation to close
Yeah.
this.
That's what should have been sent out.
Yeah. All right. It's funny because that doesn't appear to be the most recent dated. So that's dated 9/2 and the other one's dated 9/7. So
Mhm.
anyway, but we got it. That's the main thing.
So that would be what we're voting on.
Yes.
And the rest should be, I think, the same as far as if you want to take a look at it quickly.
Okay, can I look at 6 again, just to be the grammar person?
Mhm.
Sure.
Steve,
Um,
take notes.
Where's the part about 20 in there? Or is that an option B now?
That's in option B now.
Could I see that part again?
Yeah, sure. It's down here.
All right, except it's 20, it should be 20 or fewer students, not less.
Okay. Steve? Steve, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Because you're going to be editing this with me tomorrow, just to make sure we capture
Okay.
what the planning board is talking about.
Mhm.
That's my grammar thing.
No,
Plus-
thank you.
All the
Well,
way
we
through.
thank you for that.
And sometimes you capitalize committee and sometimes you don't. So just make sure that's consistent. Okay?
That should be 20 or fewer students, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes,
That's
correct.
Yeah.
I should have caught that. I married an English teacher. She catches those things.
I don't know. For some reason, that one really gets to me. Less or fewer.
Yeah.
Totally gets to me too, Karen. You're not alone. That is a huge pet peeve.
Yeah, right. Less money, fewer dollars.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can count one, you can't really count the other.
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's a review. We want to, so what I'm looking for is a vote to approve the proposed regional agreement as amended. As amended, it includes what we talked about at the last meeting, where Karen said, do you want to vote? And I said, no, I want to do it in one vote
Mhm.
until we have the whole thing. And that was the reason why I postponed it to this meeting. And then we can finally move forward.
Mhm. Right. I move that we accept this amendment and to the original regional agreement that we discussed at the last meeting.
All right, just so for clarity, you're saying that your motion is to approve the amended proposed
Yes.
regional agreement and recommend this to the towns.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Oh, okay. Dorinda's fine.
All right, I can't see folks, so
You need a second?
I think there was a second, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a couple.
Yeah, Dorinda, it's fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're voting all those in favor. Karen, now you're to my left and David's to the right.
I
Moving
vote
around.
yes.
Alan Genevieve's yes. Deb, you're at the top now. Deb Pote.
Yes.
Raina.
Abstain.
Okay. Dorinda
Yes.
and Michelle.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Greg
Yes.
and Deb Loomer.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the meat of things. And so thank you for that. Steve, let's talk in the morning to make sure that the amendments that were made at the previous meeting are all, and we have that recorded, are all included for what's going forward along with this. All right.
Okay, Greg, you have that, the one you just put up with that option B?
Yes.
Yeah, can you send that out, please? Send it to me as well.
Yep. Just make sure you got the most recent version. Oh, yep.
All right, so let's see, we've got the assessments done, we got Jake's presentations done, we have the agreement, so Steve, thank you. You can hang around if you want. But that thank you for your input on that. So let's back up. So we have the community outreach. I'm going back to 5 just to make sure we touch on those pieces. We have meeting scheduled for Gill on the 15th. The Warwick is not going to happen on the 18th because I haven't had a chance to get that publicized. So if someone wants to look at that date, we have Northfield the 25th, Leiden the 30th, and Leiden has a much bigger thing going on there for their town. And so Michelle, I guess per your suggestion, Greg will reach out to Kathy to see if we can get another meeting to outreach. All right. And then Warwick would be October 2nd. And on here, it's Northfield on the 30th. Wasn't
Northfield's on September, September 25th, which is a Thursday at 6. And then it's the 18th of October, which is a Saturday at 10. And then October 30th, which is a Thursday at 6. It's a little bit wrong on the agenda.
Yeah, can you say that again? Then it's not the 25th, it's the 26th in
No,
September.
it's the 25th of September on
Yeah.
a Thursday at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday. On the agenda, it says Saturday.
Right. It's Thursday.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Greg is going
Okay.
to be there for all of them with
Yeah.
me.
And then October 30th and September
October 18th, which is
yeah.
Saturday at 10 a.m. And then October 30th, which is a Thursday at 6. All of them are in the meeting room at the Dickinson Memorial Library in North.
Okay. All right. And then I received something, just so people know what the dates are. I received an email from Karen Kelly from Berniston, and she was suggesting October 3rd. The 8th. Greg, you got this email as well. So she was looking at a Friday and a midweek and a Saturday. So so the only one we don't have, I believe, is Montague. And David, I'm going to try to schedule a couple, and I want to talk to you about that. And David has arranged one to have a meeting with people that worked really hard on the educational plan of the Warwick schools. So he's going to meet with them and hear their concerns and have an open discussion. So I'm glad you're doing that, David. So what about, so the only one left now is Montague, is that correct?
I guess so.
And so can you get back to us on that and to Greg, and we'll fill in that one? Or
Right.
those?
Well, I mean, I guess that's something I have to plan, right? So
Or reach out to the town, just reach out to like Walter and the select board to see if there's a date that you can reserve.
a place.
Yeah, no, it could be at the high school, it could be at the town hall if there's a big enough space.
So just avoid these dates and I will try to be there as well and Greg
Doesn't have
and
to
we'll
be
do
you,
the
Dorinda.
presentation.
I was gonna say, it doesn't have to be you, Dorinda. Just you could request a meeting time.
Yeah, Walter had reached out to me, but I sort of didn't know what to say yet.
Yeah, that's fine. You still, you have some time. See if they can
Yeah.
find a date that works.
All
And
right,
if you
Sounds
want
good.
if you want to loop me in on an email, that's fine too.
I have a question about somebody from the finance committee in Northfield emailed me. She wanted like maybe the slide deck to improve on or tweak the great flyer that Dorinda made. She thought she could do something more like a deeper dive.
that'd be
I
good.
didn't want to, I'm not doing that. But I didn't know if that would be okay to just direct her to the Six Towns website when when the deck goes on there and she can create it. She's
Sure.
just somebody who seems to be really interested in doing that. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
as long as they run it by us, before they, disseminate it,
Okay.
just so we make sure it's not out of context or anything.
Okay, I'll have her send it to me and then I'll send it to you guys.
Okay.
So I'm going to tie two other quick things together here, and they're all related. In terms of the coordinating on the same town at the same day, that does not look likely to happen. And so Dorinda had brought to our my attention that if it was on the same day and people, I mean, Greg and I have been so intimately familiar with every single aspect of this and would be doing presentations. It was like, well, who would be at the town meeting to get into the deeper dives of questions that come up? And so if we're all having them on the same day, we would not be available. So maybe it's a good thing that it's going to have to be not on the same day. Northfield, I heard, was potentially looking at the midweek and maybe the second week in November. Does that sound right, Raina? Did you hear anything about what they were thinking?
Doesn't
No.
sound right to me.
Pardon?
Doesn't sound right to me. Let me look it up.
So so Walter sent out an email today, Walter, the Montague Town Administrator. The Montague Select Board discussed last night, and it looks like they're going to do Saturday, the Saturday the 15th. And so I looked at Northfield's historically. Northfield had said, well, they usually do theirs the second Wednesday, and that's what the website says for their special town meetings. So Walter had asked in the email that people either meet on the 15th or after the 15th. So you can sort of get a core on the 15th and then people after. I don't know. Northfield's, I think, meeting this evening. So I don't know if they're going to decide to disrupt their normal flow or not, which would be the 12th, which would be before everybody.
Before everybody what?
So Walter had asked that people either meet on the 15th or try to meet after the 15th. So it's not like, one person meets early and tries to control the narrative essentially, so that it's either like the majority on the 15th and then anyone who wants to do their own thing after that, ideally.
All right, so this is a town decision and the select board create the, put it on the warrant. So it's their meeting. So it should be on people's, we should share the dates of when the towns are doing it, so for informational purposes, but they should be having those conversations about when that should happen. Now, let me put this in the context of we have a responsibility. Once we have our regional agreement cleared through the legal with DESI, then it's our obligation 45 days before the first town meeting, where that's going to be, that we have the warrant article that it would be going to the select boards to include on their town meeting. So I just want to bring that to the forefront of, there's a process that we will have to follow. But we can have requesting the town meeting, but we can have the conversations about what makes sense for the towns and when they're planning to do it. So that when they get that official notice, they've already had an idea of when that would be. I just have to make sure that I back into that correctly. Greg.
No, I'm kind of curious. Is there any precedent for the clerks to withhold the results of the vote until all towns have voted?
I don't know if you can do that.
I'm just asking. I don't know either.
How do you get 100 participants to agree to that?
Yeah.
I mean, that would take some of the politicizing out of it, because then you wouldn't have a recorded vote yet until all 6 towns have voted.
I don't know.
think
That's an
you-
interesting question. I don't know if you
I
can
don't
do
think
that.
you can withhold those votes, tell you the truth, Greg. And I would agree with
Well,
Greg.
it's not
I think
withholding
there's
the
a
vote,
question
it's
that
just withholding the reporting of it.
I don't think they can hold that. That's a public, they've counted,
Yeah.
it's in, so I think it'd be
Yeah,
questionable.
I think you're right. I just thought I would ask the question.
Yeah.
It would be a good way to get some coverage of it.
It's going to sell some papers.
You don't want me to see it.
So that was
I
one
just
point.
wanted to mention that, Walter, there have been many emails going around about the date. So we are all talking about it.
Okay, great.
It's not like the towns are not talking about the date. Leiden is open to whatever. I mean, we've talked about a Saturday, we've talked about not a Saturday. So
So is Bill.
yeah, and we've been going, emailing Walter back with our, responses. So
Alan, I put it on
all
your
talk-
agenda.
Thank you.
On November 15th, and the town clerk's good with that date. for
Oh.
Leiden.
November, thank you, November 15th. Does anyone else have November 15th?
That's the Saturday that
That's the
Montague's doing it.
Saturday. Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
everybody was falling in line.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
okay.
on
Hoping.
Alan's other point, like if they're at similar times of day, then we have to have 6 people who can do a good presentation.
Or we have it, if the 2 on Saturday, one could be at 9 in the morning and one could be in 2 in the afternoon.
That's right.
So we could
Yeah.
just stagger the time and we would be able to accommodate that. And I hope we can do that, because to me, that would make sense to just have them at different times. Another issue that was brought up, and I know that Deb Pote felt strongly about this, and that had to do with the providing childcare. And there's a whole process to that. And Dorinda and I talked a little bit about that in terms of nowadays, of course, you have people that have to be, they have to be Corey checked, that, just can't have any volunteers. Dorinda pointed out that there's school staff, PTO and so forth that are already Corey checked and they may step forward. And so I reached out to,
I guess I just want to say,
yeah.
Parents felt strongly about that. I was just relaying the young parents I met with who said, please have childcare. And I will say there are people in Northfield, including I would volunteer my daughter who is Corey checked. I would get her to be helpful. So I can't speak for all the towns, but I would do my best to make something like that happen.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Deb. So I heard you loud and clear, and I was sort of following that up to see, what that would look like and what that would entail.
So,
And I reached out to Jane Dutcher because I was curious, and I was talking to her about a couple things, and she reminded me that why are you talking about that? She said, this is a town meeting. It's the Board of Selectmen are having the meeting, and if they're interested in having childcare, then they would bring that up and maybe ask for help or organize it or whatever. And so she
No,
made me stop and pause.
No.
So I don't know. I think
it's
it's
not-
our initiative, but we could certainly play a strong role in that. And I suspect maybe Warwick will decide we're gonna do childcare and we'll figure out how. But I guess I'm saying that probably should be left up to each town.
I totally
what
agree.
they wanna do.
I totally agree. I don't
and
think
they
we
all
should
ought
have
to do it.
take that on. I think it's very hard to do. I do think that during presentations, that could be a helpful thing, not just the town vote, but
Yeah.
I think we should all
So-
just try to do our best and work with the town.
So let's have that conversation at the town level, to see how that would go. I'm sorry, Karen, I interrupted you.
No, you didn't interrupt me. So this is just a logistical, practical question. When will DESI get their decision back to us? And do we have to just cancel everything if they say, no, it's not acceptable?
Yes.
Well, my answer would be they've already approved everything except from my perspective, the school closure language. And that I think what we should do now is at the same time that we're sending that out to back to DESI, I think it should be released to the towns. We put it out there with the disclaimer that they will be sending it to their legal to review it. But this is what the planning board has proposed and is sending forward, and we're waiting for final feedback from DESI. Because I don't want to hold on to it any longer. I think people need to read it and ask questions.
Once it goes in, we'll be on the phone. We have a working relationship with DESI, so we'll be on the phone and say we really need it back. And actually, they've been asking for it, so they get it. They should act on it quickly. I think, Alan, the only thing we said was the closure issue. I think, and everything else has been corrected. There might be some minor things in there. I mean, some unfortunately, sometimes they get punctuation, a few other things that we might have to fix, but it doesn't change the agreement.
I found some of those I'm going to talk to you about tomorrow.
Okay. Easy enough to do.
Yeah. Raina?
Yeah, I was also curious if the towns feel like they would have enough time for their legal review before with the 45 days. No,
Isn't Russell?
we'd have to get it back
reviewing it?
we'd have
No.
to get it back from DESI before October 1st and then get it to the towns. And then they would need to do their legal review.
No, so to that point, we have been very transparent. I explained this to DESI. I actually had this conversation with Jane Dutcher as well, because she's been involved in this at the pioneer level. And so our process was we involved the towns in this process all along the way. We had the select boards appoint representatives for their town. They're the ones that crafted this agreement. It wasn't just done by the planning board. And then, and they spent a lot of time on it, so over 3 months. And so, no, to answer your question, this is going to be when we get it back from DESI, this is what will be going forward. The other part I would say is that, there's, as you know, Raina, in the regional agreement, you have amendment language. And I really like our amendment language, because you can make amendments to this at any time. And it's a pretty smooth process where one town can, propose an amendment that would then go to the other towns to look at, and there would be, a town meeting. You might have similar language, but I think it's a very clean process that no document is going to be perfect. And over time, things that made sense will need to be modified. And so there's a good process to that.
Alan,
So
if I could add something to this, when it goes to the town councils, they're looking for the legality, not necessarily changing what you people have voted that you want. Only if something's not legal that they need to advise you on. You're not asking them to go through and revise that agreement that's been approved by DESI. So I think that needs to be established to them. We're involved in another district where we did that, and the town council came back and said, well, you don't want to do it this way, you want to do it that way. Yet though the committee had voted to do it a certain way. So again, this is what you people have put together. I think it needs to be emphasized, and then and approved by Department of Education. And if there's any changes, we got to go back again unless there's something illegal. Now, also the department has a whole legal office they've gone through that for any legality. That's what you want them to do, is anything legal that they think, so they can assure their towns that there's nothing illegal in that agreement. But again, the method that you're doing, what you're doing and all the different things, is because you've made that decision. And you really don't want him, the lawyer, to start changing what your decisions are.
Right, and I would only add that this is not going to the towns for more debate. It's just literally a legal review. It's not to go to the towns to say, take a look at it, let us know what you think. We've done that already many, many times.
Yeah.
So it's just literally for a legal review.
A lot of times will happen at town meetings that somebody will stand up, is our council looked at that, is it okay legally? And that's why you definitely have to do it, because you don't want to say, oh no, your town council didn't look at it, so then everybody gets a doubtful, so. But again, the town council has to be, this is your role on the legality of it, not the options, unless something you see is illegal.
And I had this feeling, and I'm sure you do, Steve, in my conversations with Michelle Griffin and Christine Lynch, they got a darn good handle on when they push back. They're pretty clear. Like, this threshold is not legal. It has to be lowered to 5,000 or whatever. They're right on top of things. So I think they've brought things to our attention that needed to be compliant with state law and regulations. So I'm pretty confident when they send it forward. I would be really surprised if, the only thing I'm not sure of is the school closure language. But I'm hoping that you will work on that. And if you want me to be a part of that conversation, I would be more than happy to do that. The other thing I want to say is that I've been in touch with Kevin Brosnahan from the Murphy and Toomey law firm. And they committed to getting to Desi this week the language for the warrant article. And that the warrant article and what they're looking for is it's contingent upon the I don't know, the legal the passage of the bill that would create the new district, dissolve the other districts, that would take care of the transfer of assets and liabilities. And so that will all be part of the warrant article that's going forward. Any more comments on that, Steve?
Nope, no, all of that has to be done. As you just said, the biggest thing is
Yeah.
informing the new, and then how the assets and liabilities are handled.
So when they vote, it's contingent upon that, meaning that if that doesn't happen at the legislative level, then the districts then then the new district dissolves, that was voted, that dissolves, and then it just reverts back to the three districts operating separately. So that was more of an informational point, and I hope that they follow through. I haven't heard from Odyssey. I wasn't able to get in touch with them just because it didn't work out for me, so I'm not blaming them. But I'm looking for their timeline, and I'll have a conversation with them tomorrow.
They replied, Alan.
They did? To my email today?
Yeah, it was at 6:40 tonight. So
Is it a good reply?
well, he said we got the Pioneer data 3 weeks ago from our team meeting on Monday. I expect the project to go into review later this week, so I expect to deliver the results next week.
Nice, thank you. Okay. Long range plan, I am going through it one more time. Is Karen still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Karen, I'm almost afraid to say, do you want to take a look at this? Because I'd like to do a track changes if we go there. But it's I don't know, 14 pages. It's a great summary of things. I've added a section for the transition and what monies would be available. And and I added I cleaned up or corrected the thing about the mission and vision, and made sure that that was accurately captured per your comments last time. So I think I've just got to go through it one more time and make sure that it has all the content that it needs. Greg's going to put in some more links to documents that are referenced, including, for example, the slide deck that will be attached to it. And hopefully with that, they'll have everything they need to schedule a meeting with Desi to talk about any questions they have about what we're trying to do. She prefaced it, it's a new commissioner, not familiar with Massachusetts, and so there may be a lot of questions about it.
Mhm.
Did I cover all the bulk mailing? Is there any update on that? Because someone's got to craft something for that.
I just have a caution on that.
Yes.
For instance, I got a postcard from the town of Leiden or a tax notice or something, and it took 13 days to get to me, and it came from the town of Leiden. So these things happen, but then we know a young man who just started working for the post office a year and a half ago, and he said that at first, all our mail, unless you hand it to the person at the post office that handles the incoming mail. In other words, if it's for somebody in your town, you have to hand it to them, not stick it in the slot. Hand it to them and say, this is for in town. Can you make sure it goes to in-town mail? Otherwise, it can take normally 3 or 4 days.
Is that because they ship it to Springfield and then
It
ship
goes
it
to
back?
Springfield and
Yep.
then Hartford or Boston before it comes back to us.
Yeah.
I do have an update though. I've
Yeah.
been using Adams Direct Mail for all of our postcards. I
Mhm.
mail them on a Friday and they get to people on a Saturday or Monday because that's what he does. He has the postage on it. He puts them in the post office mailers. The US Postal Service gives him boxes
Ah,
and he delivers them to Bernardston and Greenfield. So
Uh-huh.
he mailed them Friday around noon and I got mine on Saturday. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm urging you to use Adams Direct Mail.
I don't know what Adams Direct Mail is. Is it a business?
Yep, right down the street from Foster's on the left. Is that Chapman Street? No.
So you have to pay a fee to them.
Oh yeah, we've been paying them.
So can you get a number of what it would cost if we do it? Because you're talking a postcard, we're talking probably, I don't know, a double-sided piece of paper with a
Yeah,
space for the.
he'll do a
Okay.
flyer, he'll do postcards, he'll do
Mhm.
whatever.
Okay.
And Alan, it doesn't
One-
have, it could be just one-sided with a tri-fold flyer,
Yeah,
a
Mhm.
label, you know, and then
Okay.
stamped with the.
our library just had him do some trifolds and stuff and he sent them out within that same week.
Yep.
So is Deb Potay still here?
I
No,
don't
she had
see
to
her.
leave.
I
No,
don't-
she signed off
Oh, shoot.
just before 8.
Oh, thanks. I'm just wondering, I guess I'll give her a call. I'm wondering if this person she's talking about that is willing to do something, if they would be willing to do this mailing, this flyer.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
is the content?
for which town? Because I know like the flyer that we already came up with went out in Gill with the newsletter, so it hit pretty much our entire town.
And it went out in Warwick, and it went out in,
Went out in Leiden newsletter.
okay.
And my understanding is it's going out with sewer bills in Montague,
Excellent.
which is a weird
Yeah.
thing, but
No, that's just an easy way to get them out
yeah,
there.
exactly.
So it's anyone that has sewer, huh?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much everybody almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we have septic here in Leiden.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no, I know, but Montague has
In
like,
Montague.
a lot of the population in Montague.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
Raina, do you know
Yeah.
anything about that? No, I don't. I'll have to ask.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about a mailing.
All right, thanks. Thank you. All right, I think
Okay.
that we can, let's call this a night. I don't know how the
Mhm.
Yankees are doing, but
So,
this was a good meeting. We got a lot done. Now, when are we gonna meet next? Because we've got, I have on here, it was, wasn't it
you
next
have
week? The 16th.
Wednesdays,
Yeah, I had Wednesday.
but yeah, that's a Tuesday.
It is?
Yes, and so is the 30th.
Oh my God, I can't even, you're right. So that should be Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday is the Leiden.
Yeah, I can't do either of those.
I'll be in Leiden. so-
16th,
right.
30th, I'm busy.
Can
So-
we pick another one on a? How about the 24th? We don't have
Third?
any meetings happen on that day, do we? The September 24th?
So are you still wanting to do the 16th?
Well, we're missing Michelle and who else?
I was gonna say 16th.
No.
The 16th I can't do.
Oh,
The
and-
23rd?
The 23rd I could do.
The select board has a meeting, David, on the 23rd. I don't know why we're not meeting on the 22nd. Did I have it wrong?
Are you on the right month? 23rd is a Tuesday. Is that when you meet on Tuesdays, Alan?
Well, for some reason, I have that written on a Tuesday.
For some reason it is, and everybody's confirmed it, and nobody can remember why.
Can we do the 24th, which is a Wednesday? So we get a firm date to clean things up, because we should, it all is going to be happening at once. I should have to know, I'll know about a lot of things, the legislative language to just make
I
sure
can
people
do,
know.
I can do the 24th.
Okay,
That'll be okay.
okay, thank you.
I can.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
the only one though. Make
Yeah,
sure.
but when you said that,
I
I
can do
saw
it.
Raina nodded. I saw Dorinda nod.
Okay.
I'm just nodding
I
asleep,
can
but
do the
I was nodding.
24th.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
do that.
All right, that's great. So I'm gonna put in the 24th, and then we'll go from there.
Tigers and Yankees are tied, by the way, 2-2.
All right. So this was a lot of good work.
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
Tigers.
let you go. We accomplished a lot, and we got through the things that we needed to get through. And I thank you for your full participation and for your ideas. David, that was a great catch and a great, that'll correct, because we need to have that picture. We got to get that right when that goes live. So that was good. I'd love the participation. So does anyone want any other thing that needs to come up or want on the next agenda?
Just a realistic amount of time that we're gonna be with you. Don't say 6:30 to 7:30.
Is that what it said?
Alan's terrible at that. I will support you on that.
Okay, fair enough. If I can, we can just consolidate now. Well, we had the presentations done. We had 3 major presentations, and we had another one, the last one. I think we're done presentations. Now we're gonna just focus on the coordination. Okay.
Karen, every time Alan calls me, he says, I just want to talk to you for 5 minutes, and then it's an hour later.
Oh, yeah, I was married to someone like that. I know.
So we
I'll
should
be
get this,
home at 3.
I'd like to see this over with before the 7th inning.
Yes.
Okay,
all
let's
right.
go.
All right.
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
All
We have a
right.
motion to adjourn.
Aye.
All those in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is
Aye.
unanimous.
Alan, can you and Greg stay on with me so I can talk about tomorrow?
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg,
All
hang
right.
on for a
Thanks,
second.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Aye.
Greg, hang
Bye.
on for a second. Greg.
Yeah, that's
Greg,
fine.
Greg.
I am hanging on. I'm going to just pause the recording.